Hey everyone, Richard Phillips back at you with some more modern action. Today we're going to be playing a deck that has fallen off the radar quite a bit, but is one of my pet decks. We're playing some more Grixis, but this time instead of looping cryptic commands, we're going to be trying to cast Delver of Secrets. This is Grixis Delver. It is a deck that was once a very solid deck, has fallen off in favor of some other strategies, especially Grixis Shadow. But with the fact that one of the basically we'll start. One of the main strengths of this deck is the fact that it plays 4 spell snares, which is a super large amount of spell snares, and was also really bad when Humans was the best deck in the format. Humans is now no longer the best deck in the format, which is excellent for the card Spell Snare. A lot of the decks that are good in the format right now are I mean, Humans is still a good deck, but Spell Snare is significantly better against the rest of the decks in the field other than Humans. And now that that's gone, we can play Spell Snares again, and we can generate huge tempo advantages off of it. This deck is playing Hand Disruption, it's playing Creature Disruption, and has a quick clock on the opponent. It doesn't do things well like try to counter big spells that the opponent's playing, or try to out card advantage decks. It's really just trying to provide a quick tempo and a fast clock on the opponent. It is also playing a few sideboard cards, which I'm very excited to try out, which is one of the reasons why we're playing it today. It's playing 2 Infernal Reckonings and 2 Alpine Moons, just like in the Grixis Control video that I did the last time. I'm hoping that Alpine Moon and Infernal Reckoning can solve a couple of the issues that this deck has been having, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. One thing to note in the sideboard, we have a couple of cards to try to grind, even though we're not very good at it. We have a Painful Truths and a Liliana the Last Hope, which we can bring in if our opponent's playing control. Yug Pyromancer for mid-range matchups. Grim Lavamancer is great removal. Counter Squalls to counter the big things. Dispel to either protect our people or to prevent a combo or a like a Collected Company or something like that. We've got a Surgical Extraction and a Nihil Spellbomb for graveyard interactions, and one of my favorite cards, Arise Fall, to either disrupt our opponent's hand or to gain value, almost as like a 4th Kolaghan's Command. And with that, guys, we'll jump into a league, and I'll see you guys at the beginning of round number 1. All right, guys, and welcome to round number 1. We, of course, start right off the bat with a unkeepable hand, so we will mulligan that. This hand is good, however, we're going to need a hope that our opponent's playing a creature-based deck in order to cast our Bone Picker. Kolaghan's Command. I think Kolaghan's Command is a strong enough card where we're definitely going to keep it on top. Alright, and our opponent is on Tron. This is a really rough matchup. I'm going to go ahead and just get a Swamp here and try to take something out of our opponent's hand. Sorry, by Swamp I meant a red land, or a black land rather. We'll get a Watery Grave here and seize our opponent. Alright, so of these cards, which ones can we definitely not beat? Alright, so our opponent has the second Tron piece here, and then the next turn we'll have Star into Stirrings. So we really can't beat any of these things, but they're for sure going to have a turn 3 Tron, so I guess we get rid of the Karn, but we can't really fight through we can't really fight through any of these cards. I'm pretty sure we're just dead. This hand doesn't really do enough, and... Alright, so there's a Delver. We can use this Scalding Tarn almost as a scry, so we'll set a stop during our upkeep. But our opponent's just going to be able to cast a Wormcoil Engine next turn, and our best answer to that is to Kolaghan's Command it and then try to do something else, but it's just not. It's not going to be enough, I don't think. So here comes a... Alright, there's a Wormcoil Engine. Oh, and a Relic too, jeez, alright. Alright, our opponent will get rid of this Delta. We will upkeep, look at a Snapcaster Mage. Well, that means we can Snapcaster Thought Seize our opponent this turn and take 6, and then next turn we can K-Command cast Bone Picker. Definitely don't want to reveal the card. It's do we want to draw it is the question. I think we do. So we'll play Spire Bluff Canal, and we'll get basic here, because I guess we do want to try to preserve our life total a little bit. Yep, I guess like that. Play Snapcaster Mage, target that Thought Seize. Thought Seize our opponent. Take the Ancient Stirrings, so our opponent hopefully can't find another threat, and then we just have to get our opponent to brick and get lucky ourselves, I guess. Alright, so we'll take 6 here. Opponent goes up to 26. We'll exile our Flooded Strand, or our Scalding Tarn. Alright, we knew our opponent had that. And it looks like our opponent did draw something. No. Okay, they drew Oblivion Stone, which is definitely not as bad as it could have been. We'd love to reveal a Fatal Push. That's actually really good. Alright. So we are going to just play this tapped and attack our opponent. And then we are probably going to shatter. Oh, okay, our opponent's just going to blow everything up now. Oh no, just put a fate counter on the Wormcoil Engine. Do we want to respond to that? I guess not. Alright, so we will destroy target artifact and make our opponent discard. Okay, so that works at least. Our opponent does know that we have a Fatal Push. And we'll kind of follow up. Does our opponent have nothing? Alright. Alright, there's a Snapcaster Mage. I suppose with this Oblivion Stone on the battlefield, there's no real reason to try to do anything here. We want to like almost hold our spells until we find an answer for it. So I think we'll just go to combat and we'll just block the worms here. Or we'll block one worm and push the other one. So we'll block the Death Toucher. And push the Lifelinker. Not a good spot for us to be in, but at least now we have something on board and our opponent doesn't. Okay, our opponent drew another land, so that's good. All right, there's a Bolt. At some point our opponent, okay, is going to make us, I was going to say, exile our graveyard, and then that'll free up the Lightning Bolt. Put a fate counter on the relic. That's fine. Yep. Okay. We'll have our opponent make us discard the relic there. That's fine. Sylvan Scrying's also fine. Opponent still has no cards in their graveyard. Okay, they found the Sanctum with the Sylvan Scrying. All right, so I think here we are going to try to commit to the board here to try to get our opponent to use the Relic of Progenitus a little bit premature. So we'll just go ahead and cast this Bone Picker here. And we'll play a Darkslick Shores because we do want the Tassigurs to be castable. If our opponent wants to blow everything up with the Oblivion Stone here, then that's fine. Okay. So now we just need to dodge more stuff Get rid of the bone picker. All right, there's a K command. I think we'll start off by passing here. And during... Well, there's a couple things we can do here. So the first thing we can do here is we can, during the upkeep, K command the relic and return Snapcaster Mage. The opponent will blow the graveyard and draw a card. Second thing we can do is, well, yeah, none of these things are particularly good. So we'll just wait until draw, I guess, and then we will K command target player discards a card, return target card from your library. All right, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, target player discards a card. So we'll return that and that. We'll go blue and black. So we're trying to return the Snapcaster Mage. The opponent will use the relic here. Okay, cool. Now we are going to, in response, bolt our opponent, which will put a bolt in the graveyard. So now if the opponent wants to not discard the card or this they'll have to blow the relic. So we'll discard the bolt. So now the opponent can crack the relic if they want. No, okay, so our opponent's fine discarding the card that they drew for the turn. Okay, so now we are just going to go ahead and K command, deal 2 damage to our opponent and destroy the relic, so they have to crack it in response. Or we could do the same thing during our opponent's upkeep again. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. So we'll put the polluted delta and we'll just crack it now so that we can avoid our opponent getting us with the relic. Okay, so we will still, I believe, cast the Colligan's command here, because we just want to shock our opponent. So we'll do that. So we'll just go ahead and that, and we will make our opponent discard and deal 2 damage to them. And then we will get a tapped black source, I guess. And we'll see what our opponent has drawn. Oh, this looks like we're dead. We have no outs to an Ulamog, so we will just concede to that. Yep, alright, we'll concede. Alright, so post-board, we have quite a few cards that I'd like to bring in. We have Counter Squalls, we have Alpine Moons, we have a Young Pyromancer, we have a Risefall, we have Infernal Reckoning, we theoretically could bring in Surgical Extraction, so then this would be like a maybe pile, because if our opponent discards a card with Colligan's Command or something like that, we can Surgical it. And we could bring in Painful Truths. Cards that I don't like in this matchup include Fatal Push, so we can make another pile up here. Fatal Push. I don't really like Spell Snare all that much. There's really only 2 things in the deck that we can Spell Snare, and maybe we can get lucky with them, so maybe keep like 1 in, but I don't want to keep too many in. And then we have Terminates to take out. Also don't really like Bone Picker in this matchup because it's really hard to cast. So we have 8 cards to take out so far. Alright, so maybe we will not take out or not bring in those. So we will cut this 8 and keep or bring this 8 in. All right, we are on the play here. What does this hand do? So we can opt, and then we can play Young Pyromancer, but we don't have any black for counter Squall. I think the hand's fine. It's not super exciting, though. All right, the opponent is mulliganing. Mulliganing a lot, okay. All right, and we're going to shock in because we want to be able to cast Young Pyromancer next turn and also play a black land. All right, we are going to opt here and look for a black source. Ooh boy, Delver. I think, honestly, we have to bottom Delver. We already have enough threats. Yeah, Spire Bluff Canal is not really what we wanted to see there. All right, there's a Snapcaster, which I guess there's worse draws in our deck than Snapcaster, but we still need that black source. So next turn we can snap opt, hopefully finding a black source on the following turn. All right, this is good. Our opponent's very far off of Tron. Okay, Walking Ballista for 1 is very good, though. All right, there's Dark Slick Shores. So we can snap opt here at the end of the turn and also have Counter Squall up. All right, so those are both mines. Actually, I think I like just Counter Squalling this. Let's do that, and blue, Counter Squall this, and then we can hopefully Counter Squall something else during our opponent's next turn. So we'll play an island, and oh, we can get Tasigur down. I think we're just gonna pass. It's very tempting, but I think I just want to pass here. All right, let's Snapcaster Counter Squall here. All right, and the opponent is just kind of waiting. All right, there we go. So this deck doesn't have any way to really interact with Tron other than Alpine Moon. So it's important that we make sure that our opponent basically never gets to Tron, as opposed to some of the other decks that can like take people off of Tron once they get it. That's just not how this deck is set up. All right, and we will just get rid of the Young Pyromancer. So now we have a reasonable clock on our opponent. We can try to Thought Seize something out of their hand here. Opponent found a tower. All right, there's a bolt, which is good. So we'll Thought Seize our opponent. We actually have an answer to Wormcoil Engine, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll get rid of the Karn, though. And we'll hold up a activation of Tasigur. All right, and we'll activate Tasigur here. Probably get back the opt here. Yep. Okay. And we'll just, I'll show my opponent the bolt, and they might concede to that because that's lethal damage here. Yes, okay. All right, so game 3, I like kind of our sideboarding plan. I think it's pretty good. There's a chance that Spell Snare is a little bit better on the play, and actually we did get punished by a card that we could have Spell Snared that game. So maybe we can take them in, or put them in, maybe cut a bolt, because they're really bad in like super multiples. That's not exactly how we want to win the game. Maybe even cut 2 bolts. K-Command is maybe worse than a bolt. Bolt just provides a lot of pressure on our opponent. Yeah, let's just cut one bolt. 2 spell snares. All right, let's hope we find a hand with Alpine Moon in it. All right, perfect. There's a hand with Alpine Moon in it. The rest of it needs a little bit of help, but we'll keep it because it's got Alpine Moon in it. So Alpine Moon, we will name any Tron land, and because we're naming any Tron land, the way that Tron lands work is they check for subtypes, and our opponent will not have the correct subtype for the Tron lands to make mana. So we'll do Urza's Tower. All right, so none of the opponent's Tron lands will make 7 mana on turn. Our opponent could have ways to interact with Alpine Moon and stuff like that, and if they do, that's good for them. It's, you know, very bad for us, but... All right, so the opponent just gets the same Tron land again, and then plays a map. Okay, that's fine. All right, we are going to opt now because we want to hit a black source. Bottom that. All right, perfect. There's a black source. So now we can get a Watery Grave and Inquisition our opponent. And we can take an Ancient Stirrings. Perfect. So our opponent's hand is lands and a Wormcoil Engine. All right, the opponent is searching for a mine and plays it, okay? We can just Thought Seize the Wormcoil Engine out of our opponent's hand here. Or we can Snap Opt at the end during our opponent's turn. I think I like that. We'll just go ahead and do that. That'll get a clock on the table, and then we can Thought Seize our opponent at our leisure. All right, so there's the tower. All right, they drew a Chromatic Sphere. They get green off of that. And they're just passing the turn. Okay. So we'll go ahead and Snapcaster Opt here at the end of the turn. Try to find another clock. Mountain is not a clock. Ooh, Infernal Reckoning's good, though. So now we can even let the opponent keep the Wormcoil Engine. Yeah, I guess we'll just play the Swamp here, and we'll Thought Seize our opponent. Kind of hope our opponent like dismembers a Snapcaster Mage here. That would be almost like perfect. All right, Karn Liberated and a Wormcoil Engine. So just like before, I think we'll take the Karn Liberated because we have an answer to the Wormcoil Engine that is really solid. All right, so they play the mine, they play a map, that's fine. All right, Polluted Delta is not a great draw. We could theoretically do the really awkward play of bolting our Kolaghan's Command to kill a Snapcaster Mage, make our opponent discard, and then rebuy our Snapcaster Mage with the other Kolaghan's Command to cast a Thought Seize on our opponent. Okay, so there's a Wormcoil Engine. We're going to Infernal Reckoning that because that's a very clean, awesome answer. And then we'll... so we know our opponent still has Forest in hand. I guess that doesn't really change anything, though. Just get a tapped land here. We do need a clock on our opponent. We haven't drawn one of them. All right, we can Thoughtseize our opponent and see what their last card is. We know they have a Forest. All right, it's a Sphere, so at least that's a one less draw step they'll get. All right, so there's the Forest. It looks like they might have drawn a big spell here. All right, so at the beginning of combat here, I'm going to definitely just make our opponent discard and shock them because it seems that whatever they have is a castable spell. Okay, it was a chromatic, or it was Oblivion Stone, which is good because that actually would have blown up the Alpine Moon. 1, 2, 3, and they were trying to hold up one more mana so that they could activate it too. That's interesting. Okay. All right, and we are really flooding out here, but our opponent still doesn't have anything, which is good. Do we give our opponent this draw step? So what we can do is we can make our opponent discard and shock them there, or we can try to find a better target for... Okay, so it looks like our opponent should have held that because of Kolaghan's command. Yeah, okay, perfect. So we draw another land here. We'll shock that in. We'll attack our opponent here. All right, and then during our opponent's draw step, we will Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's command them. So we'll K-command, make you discard, shock you, red, black. There we go. That'll drop you down to 6. And you discard a Walking Ballista, which is perfect. And then we have the K-command to finish them off. Awesome. So you saw the power of Alpine Moon here in this match. We were able to beat Tron on the back of Infernal Reckoning plus Alpine Moon in very convincing fashion. Well, not very convincing fashion, but in fashion well enough that we're able to win a matchup that used to once be very poor. Perfect. All right, on to round number 2. All right, everyone, welcome to round number 2. This hand is great if our opponent's playing creatures, so we will hope that our opponent's playing creatures and keep it. We do need to draw some sort of clock, like a Delver or something like that. Oh, okay. Well, this is a hand for Kolaghan's command, which is very exciting. Our opponent most likely is playing Affinity. I guess they could be playing Eggs. If they're playing Eggs, we definitely need a clock. If they're playing Affinity, then we'll, like a Tassiger or something like that should be fine. All right, it does look like it is Affinity, so this is good for us. I think we should just shock in the Steam Vents because we're definitely either going to cast Opt or Lightning Bolt this turn, and then next turn we can just get basic Swamp with this and then play the Mountain. But the ability to destroy an artifact and kill, so each Kolaghan's command just kills 2 of our opponent's things for the most part, which is excellent, and also is answers to things like Cranial Plating and other cards like that normally this deck has a lot of trouble against. And then we can also bring in Infernal Reckoning out of the board, which is even better at letting us survive. Plus we have, I think, Grim, Lavamancer, and here, let's see, we have Infernal Reckonings, Liliana's pretty good. We can bring in the Terminate, Lavamancer. Yeah, we have a few good things in this matchup. All right, so there's a Signal Pest. We basically need to decide whether or not we want to Opt here or if we want to Bolt it. All right, there's another Signal Pest. That's fine, and our opponent has 1 more mana. Does not appear that they're making any payoffs here, so I think we'll probably just Opt because that's only attacking us for 2. And I would like to get cards in the graveyard and also try to find some better stuff. There's another bolt. All right, so next turn we can actually just play the mountain and bolt, bolt. So I guess we'll just keep that on top. That's fine. All right, there's an Inquisition. Actually, maybe we should just cast the Inquisition. That sounds better, because there's a chance that if our opponent has a etched champion, we still won't be able to beat it even with the K commands. So let's go ahead and just get basic swamp to preserve our life total, and then we'll Inquisition our opponent. Our opponent might want to just Galvanic Blast us here. No, okay, so it's Plating and Ravager. All right, so I think here we're just going to go ahead and take the Ravager because it makes math a lot more complicated. For us, there's a chance that we can still definitely beat it, but I'm not as, I don't think that our chances is as high. So we're hoping now that our opponent just plays the plating and attaches it to a signal pest. We'll bolt the pest that it has attached to it, and then we'll K command to kill the other pest and the plating next turn. Okay, so there's the plating, and then they'll tap one of these signal pests to attach it to the other one. And then we'll just bolt that pest, and then we'll kill a pest and a plating. Or we can even kill a drum and a plating. Probably pest and a plating is probably best, though. I think our opponent had it right. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay, so they are attaching it to that one, so we'll just go ahead and bolt it. And then F6. All right, our opponent F6 is also, it's good. Yeah, I guess this land is a little bit better, so we'll play that. All right, destroy target artifact. So destroy that artifact, deal that 2 damage. Perfect. And then we can do the same thing again next turn with the K command, and then the following turn, if we draw another land, we can snap K command. All right, so there's Ravager into all right, Vault Scourge. All right, so here it's going to take a little bit of extra maneuverability, because I think what we need to do, so if we destroy this and deal 2 damage to that, then our opponent can just sack, and put it all on the Vault Scourge. And then I guess we bolt the Vault Scourge after it. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that. So we'll do destroy this, deal 2 damage to that. Red and that. And we'll see how many things our opponent wants to sacrifice, and then we'll just bolt the Vault Scourge. No, okay, so our opponent doesn't want to do any of it. Perfect. All right, so then we'll just play this mountain and pass. We can destroy the next thing our opponent plays, if they want to play something. And then we'll Serum Visions. Okay, so our opponent doesn't have anything. That's good. All right, Inquisition's bad. We will start off by casting a Serum Visions, Bolt, Delver, Snapcaster. So we'll go ahead and top the Delver, top the Snapcaster, because that way we know that the Snapcaster is not going to flip. And then we can Snapcaster Bolt our opponent at the end of the turn to get a clock going. All right, there's an Ink Moth. All right, so there's Snapcaster. We'll Snapcaster Bolt. Bolt our opponent. All right, there's another Snapcaster, which we knew about. Then we can Bolt, Snap Bolt our opponent. And then play the Delver. All right, we'll Bolt our opponent here. Cast Snapcaster on Bolt. Bolt our opponent. Okay, our opponent just concedes. Good. All right. So post board, I really like having Terminate in our deck. I like having Infernal Reckonings in our deck. I like Grim Lavamancer in our deck. And Liliana's questionable, but probably still good. The thing is that a lot of our decks are already really good against our opponent. Thoughtseize is probably not great, and I don't like having a huge number of Inquisitions. We could probably leave in 2, but like you saw that game, maybe that's not even just the axis we want to attack on. I guess it does let us take Arcbound Ravager, which is one of the ways our opponent could definitely beat us. So there's those 3 that for sure want to come out. Probably don't need Bone Picker. All the spell snares are pretty good. Maybe we'll cut 1 spell snare, something like that, just for more removal spells. 5 in, 5 out. Submit like that. All right, what does this hand do? This hand's fine if I can draw some black sources, so I guess we'll keep it. It's got pretty much everything we need, just no black sources. But we have a couple of cantrips to find them. All right, it's not a super fast start from our opponent, which is good. I think we should get blue-black with this because we want to play as many black sources as possible. I think I like that. Reasoning. All right, so another Serum Visions on top. So Serum Visions. So next turn we can cast Serum Visions plus Infernal Reckoning. And I guess we don't need the Tasigur. We probably don't need the Serum Visions either. We already have enough cantrips. All right, so we'll just bottom both of them. So maybe next turn we should just play the Young Pyromancer, and then the next turn try to start using Infernal Reckonings and Opts and stuff like that. I guess depending on what our opponent plays. Cool thing about Infernal Reckoning is it actually works really well with cranial plating. So if the opponent has like a giant cranial plating on a Vault Scourge or something like that, we can just Infernal Reckoning it and gain something like, 10, 15 life. All right, so Springleaf Drum is not scary. Opponent thought seizes us. Okay, well, they'll definitely take the Infernal Reckoning because that card's really good. And we'll probably play Young Pyromancer. But if our opponent's bringing in cards like Thoughtseize against us, I think we're very happy with that. We actually cut our discard. And, I mean, I guess our opponent can take cards like Snapcaster Mage, but this is a 4 Snapcaster deck that can really pressure the opponent relatively quickly. It's got a lot of reach and a lot of ways to rebuy spells, so it doesn't really grind as well as Grixis Control does, but it grinds reasonably well. Opponent takes the Opt. All right. I guess they just don't respect the Vault Scourge, but okay. All right, there's a Grim Lavamancer, which is great. So I think I like just playing the Lavamancer and passing, because that card's absurd in the matchup. This way we can still hold up Infernal Reckoning. All right, Inkmoth Nexus. That's fine. We can beat an Inkmoth Nexus. All right, there's a Master of Ethereum. That is not a blue spell, unfortunately. All right, I think here we'll just go ahead and... Oh, I guess we can't even Reckoning that because it's black. Huh, that's interesting. All right. So our opponent's got us here a little bit. All right, we drew a Serum Visions, which is a good draw. I think what we want to do is be able to try to get a token that can chump the Master of Ethereum. So we'll play the Young Pyromancer first, and then the Island, and then the Serum Visions, and hopefully set up something for the following turn. 2 Spell Snares. Neither of them are very good, so we will bottom both of them. So we have an Elemental to throw in front of the Master of Ethereum, and we have a Fatal Push tentatively in our in the wings here. All right, so we'll definitely just throw away this this Elemental. That's fine. You could always do this really strange thing with Fatal Push, where you can Fatal Push something, and then the trigger for the Young Pyromancer will happen, and then you Grim Lavamancer that, and then the Fatal Push will kill the Master of Ethereum. So that is a line that we can theoretically take. I think we'll start with an Opt here, looking to try to find another land, preferably a fetch land. All right, Steam Vents. That's not a land that we want. We definitely want another black land, if anything. Okay, so the Snapcaster Mage is a thing, I guess. Let's just take the opportunity here to destroy the Vault Scourge. Okay, cool. So that resolves. And then we can actually... This thing can pump itself, so we're not attacking with the Young Pyromancer. During our opponent's turn, they'll attack with the Master of Ethereum. Probably we'll block with the Elemental, and then we'll push the Master of Ethereum. Okay, so the opponent activates a Blink Moth, plays another Blink Moth. All right, we will block the Master, taking 2 here. Opponent can pump the Blink Moth. Another thing we can do here is we can just Infernal Reckoning that, but I'm pretty happy, I believe, with just this. If our opponent has a counter spell, that's good for our opponent here. I don't believe that it's probably correct to bring in counter magic against us, because we don't have high impact spells. We just have a bunch of low impact ones. All right. So that resolves. That's good. Here we can just play another Young Pyromancer, holding up Infernal Reckoning again. And we can actually get in there with both of these now. I guess we also could have gotten in with the Grim Lavamancer, but if our opponent did have something, I would rather the Grim Lavamancer stay alive. All right, so our opponent will activate a Blink Moth Nexus. And a second one. If they attack, we'll probably just Infernal Reckoning one, because we want to utilize our black mana whenever possible. And that'll also get us 2 more elementals. And we'll bring us to 10 and then back to 9, which we're fine with. All right, so there's a signal pest. All right, steam vents. I guess we'll just go ahead and destroy this now, getting rid of 2 serum visions. All right, cool. And we will just go ahead and shock in the steam vents and attack our opponent here. All right, and our opponent concedes. Excellent. So our Infernal Reckonings plus our K commands were enough to beat Affinity, and I'll see you guys beginning of round 3. Everyone, welcome to round number 3. We are 2-0, and I've won the die roll here. This hand is great, so we'll keep it. We need 1 more land, but we got a Spell Snare on 2. Hopefully I can finally show off the power of Spell Snare. Just play the Darkslick Shores and pass. We'll opt at the end of our opponent's turn. We don't really know what our opponent's playing, but we probably just want to get a land. Blue-white control, maybe? Also, the one thing that's cool about Darkslick Shores is that it almost always recommends or shows the opponent that we're playing ad nauseum. It's like immediately what I'd put us on. Oh, okay, it's Mausoleum Wonder. All right, so we want to opt in response. Tasigur. Are we going to be able to get to Tasigur in time? Probably not. Tasigur isn't even very good in this matchup. All right, there's K command's not very good here. All right, there's a Scalding Tarn, so that's great. Scalding Tarn's actually perfect, because I didn't want to just shock in this Blood Crypt, but I also wanted to hold up Spell Snare, and our opponent would just sacrifice the Mausoleum Wanderer if they had a good turn 2 play here. Okay, the opponent just has another Mausoleum Wanderer. That's fine, I guess. It's not ideal, but it's fine. All right, so we're going to get blue-red here and probably just pass the turn. All right, well, there's Serum Visions. I don't know how we want to play this. So if we Serum Visions without playing a shock land, then our opponent can double counter, which they won't do. But then we have to shock in order for our Spell Snare to matter. So maybe what we're supposed to do is shock in the Blood Crypt first, and then play a Serum Visions. All right, there's an Inquisition. The Inquisition's probably fine. The land is probably not needed. And then we will probably just get in a Snapcaster Mage at the end of the turn, because we are currently not winning this race, and it's not looking good for us either. All right, so we get attacked for 2, which is not terribly too much damage. All right, and then our opponent almost certainly has Spell Queller, so we're just going to get the Snapcaster Mage out. If our opponent wants to Spell Quell the Snapcaster Mage, that's actually wonderful. It's just a completely poor usage of the Spell Queller. Okay. So Spell Quell, target the Opt. All right, the Inquisition is actually bad in the face of the Spell Queller because the opponent will just cast the Spell Queller, and we know that our opponent almost certainly has it, so we're going to just pass here. The opponent will cast the Spell Queller. We're going to K-Command, destroy a Mausoleum Wanderer, make our opponent discard. Our opponent will sack one of them in response. Oh, it's a Rattle Chains. Okay, so we will... oh, that actually kind of changes things, doesn't it? Maybe we were playing around the wrong things here. So I'm definitely going to Spell Snare that. And I just assumed our opponent was on Spell Queller there. But maybe they just weren't. Alright, we'll take 2. That's fine. Maybe they have Spell Queller also, and they just didn't cast it there. Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably what it is. Alright, so I think we're going to lead off here by Inquisitioning our opponent. So our opponent will definitely cast Spell Queller now. Unless they have multiples. If they have multiple Spell Quellers, then that's just, you know. But playing around these Mausoleum Wanderers is going to be really hard. They also beat down really fast. Also, we drew all 3 of our K-Commands, which aren't great in the matchup. Okay, they cast a Unified Will. So in response to that, I'm going to make our opponent discard and hit one of the Mausoleum Wanderers. And then our opponent can sacrifice the other one to... Oh, wait, no, that's not what I want to do. No. Okay, so I want to bolt a Mausoleum Wanderer. In response, they'll sack it to counter the Inquisition. No, they don't even do that. Wow. Okay. And now the Inquisition will resolve. Cool. And then we get to take... Wow. Spectral Procession is going to be hard to beat, too. All these are hard to beat. Drogskull Captain's probably the easiest of all these to beat, actually. So maybe we take Rattle Chains. And then attack our opponent here for 2. And we'll get rid of their opponent's revealed zone because they don't need that. Our opponent's exile zone. They don't need to see that. Alright, and the opponent appears to have drawn something that matters here. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and just play into the skid here. Make our opponent discard and destroy the Mausoleum Wanderer. Opponent has Spell Queller, then no. Okay, our opponent just has Remand. That's fine. Cast Serum Visions. Don't want that, but do want Terminate, I guess. And we'll attack our opponent here. Right, so we knew 3 of the cards that our opponent had. So our opponent draws a Flooded Strand, so that means they'll probably cast Spectral Procession now. And that'll put us in a big bind. Yep, okay. And the Mausoleum Wanderer grows up to a 4 power. Wow. All right, and I believe we're just dead because everything that we do is going to just lose to these spirits. Like we can K-Command our opponent. So like opponent plays the Drogskull Captain, we kill the Drogskull Captain, and then we're still dead. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're just kind of dead anyway. All right. Moving to sideboarding. What kind of cards do we have that are good in this matchup? Fall's actually probably not too bad. So we'll bring in Fall. Grim Lavamancer seems good. Terminate seems good. Liliana seems good. Maybe those four there, and then cards that are bad. We don't really have too many of those. It's just not a good matchup. K-Command seemed really poor there. Although they do have Aether Vials. So maybe keeping them in for the Aether Vials is good. Spell Snare didn't seem very good there. Maybe cutting like 2 of them, and then I don't really like Thoughtseize. Maybe doing that, because we want to preserve our life total. So trimming 1 Spell Snare for these 4 here. Opponents doesn't play too many lands, so hopefully the Rise part of this is basically just him to Turok. All right. So we're on the play here. This hand needs more lands, but other than that is very good, so we'll keep it. We got the Serum Visions to hopefully find us some lands. We'll get blue-red here. I think we need blue-red. Is more important than black. I'm trying to think if we have more or less red or black sources. I believe we have the same number. Alright, so we'll get blue-red, get Steam Vents, and we will cast a Serum Visions. Alright, perfect. There's land, and we don't want either of those. Perfect. Alright, so we're just looking for more land after that even. Alright, cool. Now we can get black and Inquisition our opponent, and then Spell Snare their play. Alright, so Inquisition reveals a hand of what? Alright, Phantom, Remand, Queller, Eidolon of Rhetoric, Drogskull Captain. Alright, let's just get rid of the Spell Queller. Now we have got a bunch of answers to that, I guess. Double Drogskull Captain can be really bad for us, so maybe we'll just take that. I'm not terribly too worried about our opponent having Remand. None of the spells in our deck, other than Tasigur, really cost more than 1, so... Alright, so our opponent plays Mystic Gate. Possibly passing. Hopefully they don't pass. Passing would be really bad for us, actually. Nope. Okay, so they do pass. So they just are going to hold up their Remand. Alright, we drew a land, which is good. Do we want to shock it in? Probably not. Alright, so our opponent plays the Ghost Quarter and probably is going to pass again. Yep, alright. So if we draw a land, we can try to bait our opponent into casting the Spell Queller and then bolting the Spell Queller. So I kind of like that. So we'll go ahead and... maybe we should play this mountain first. Yeah, let's go and do that. Alright, so we're going to cast the Snapcaster Mage. See if our opponent wants to Spell Quell. No, I guess not. Alright, so we'll get the Inquisition. And then we'll Inquisition our opponent. If our opponent remands the Inquisition, we will Spell Snare the remand. If they Spell Queller this Inquisition, then we will bolt the Spell Queller, and then the Inquisition will resolve. Alright, so our opponent is trying to remand the Inquisition. We will Spell Snare the remand. And then we'll probably take the... wow. Alright, we'll take the Selfless Spirit, maybe? Yeah, the Selfless Spirit can make it the most awkward. Alright, so Supreme Phantom, Eidolon, Queller. So those are the 4 cards in our opponent's hand. Okay, our opponent plays an Eidolon. That's fine. All right, we are going to just go ahead and terminate it. Black, red, and then attack our opponent. And we have another Spell Snare, which is good. Our opponent found a Mystic Gate. They have Supreme Phantom, Mausoleum Wanderer, Spell Queller in their hand. Alright, the Mausoleum Wanderer resolves. That's fine. Okay. I think we probably just want to bolt this because it's going to make our spells really awkward to cast at some point otherwise. Sure. No. Alright, there's a Snapcaster Mage, which is great. We'll attack our opponent here. Opponent has been flooding out a little bit. Worst card our opponent could have is Spectral Procession. We don't really have answers to that. Okay. So nothing here, which is good. If our opponent's last card is... what's the card called? Rattle Chains. This play is going to be really bad, but I'm going to Snapcaster Bolt, I think, here at the end step to try to put a clock on our opponent, and our opponent will probably Spell Queller this Bolt, and then I'll Bolt the Spell Queller, and then Bolt our opponent. Maybe we don't even have to do that. Maybe we'll just pass. That's fine. There we go. That's a good card. All right, we'll cast the Serum Visions. All right, cool. So it looks like we might be able to just get a Spell Queller out of our opponent's hand here. They tapped in a way where they will not be able to cast Rattle Chains, which is exciting too. So now we'll bolt that. All right, we'd love to cast that. All right, we drew a Fatal Push. That's good. We don't want that, but we do want the Young Pyromancer because that represents more of a clock. And then I'll attack my opponent. Wow, the opponent's really flooding out. All right, so they have Supreme, Phantom, and one other card. Oh, man, did they draw it? Oh, that's so bad for us. Okay. We got it. All right, so we will just cast the Young Pyromancer, I believe, and pass the turn, holding up Spell Snare and Fatal Push. Surprised they're not casting the Supreme Phantom. Maybe they think we have something, or I have no idea what's going on, but okay. They didn't get rid of it somehow. Like, I'm almost positive that's the last card in our opponent's hand. We're going to kill that spirit there because we want to be able to attack through. All right, there's an opt, which is good. Attack our opponent with everything. All right, and then we will opt. I'll just always yield to the Young Pyromancer trigger. Polluted Delta. We do not want that. I think we're good on lands. All right, so now we can just snap Bolt at the end of the turn and then do the same thing. Oh, is this another? Ooh, okay. It's good for our opponent. All right, and now we will Snapcaster, Bolt our opponent. And then I believe, unless our opponent has a counter spell, are going to be dead to the second Snapcaster Mage. All right, so all right, we need to play red, don't we? Seems important. All right. So we'll make another token. Attack our opponent with everything. Our opponent will run 1, 2, 3, and then take 3 there, and then we can snap bolt them. All right, and then we'll go cast Snapcaster Mage, target bolt. And we can even play through a remand here, but I'm pretty sure they just had the Supreme Phantom the whole time. Alright, cool. Alright. Do we want anything different? I think Spell Snare is actually better than I thought it was because our opponent isn't really casting. Maybe that's wrong. All right, so maybe we do what both counter squalls though, just because our opponent is significantly more on the like spectral procession plan than I anticipated they would be. So maybe if we cut this rise fall and maybe even a Tassiger, just because I don't think that's the axis that we're going to win the game on. Delvers actually block really well, which is what I'm hoping they can show off here. All right, this hand's fine. We got 3 lands. We got a couple of cantrips. We have a counter squall. Opponent also kept 7. All right. Inquisition is a good draw, though. If we get basic Swamp, is that going to hurt us? I think we probably are just going to want to get a basic with that one, so we'll just use the Blood Crypt here. All right, opponent has a lot of 2-mana plays. Remorseful Cleric is not super interesting to us. The fact that they have the Moorland Haunt and the Spectral Possession is great for us. So which of these do we not want them casting next turn? Probably just the Selfless Spirit. So maybe we'll take that, and the rest of our opponent's hand is kind of like middling garbage. Alright, so they play the Moorland Haunt, and hopefully are just planning on playing the Rattle Chains, and then we'll bolt the Rattle Chains. No, they just play the Supreme Phantom. Okay, we will definitely bolt that before that gets out of hand. So we'll fetch for a basic here. Basic Island, cast cast that. Ooh, we want both of these. Yeah, we want Fatal Push on top, Inquisition on top, and then we're just going to bolt this main phase. Our opponent found an island, which also doesn't help them really cast the Spectral Procession, which is good. Drawing both counter squalls is not good, but I guess there's certainly worse things that could have happened. Our opponent has another Supreme Phantom. Alright, so I think the first thing we want to do is opt to try to find another black source. If we can find another black source... Oh, we knew that the push was on top. So I guess we wanted to get to that a little bit quicker anyway. And I think pushing the Phantom... Now, I guess we can always push the Phantom next turn, right? But we can't necessarily Inquisition them next turn. So we'll Inquisition our opponent. And we'll take the Rattle Chains and shock in a Steam Vents, I guess, and pass the turn. Alright, so our opponent's very far off of casting the Spectral Procession, which is good. They can start using this Moorland Haunt to create tokens. But that also means that they're not really playing their spells. So it's exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a white. Okay. We are going to opt in response to the Selfless Spirit. And we don't want a Spirebluff Canal. Okay, that we can deal with, though. You just get basic Swamp with that. You need a threat. So there's basic Swamp, and we'll cast that. And I guess we do want to terminate here. And I'm going to just main phase cast that on the Phantom. Opponent can cast the or use the Selfless Spirit to protect it if it would like. Okay, that's fine. Opponent will attack us for 1 here, and then probably play a Remorseful Cleric. We really need a threat. Okay, there's the Terminate. Play that tapped, and we're just going to main phase this on the Supreme Phantom. Alright, there's a Snapcaster Mage, which is potentially pretty good. If we Snapcaster Mage like Serum Visions or something like that, our opponent will probably let it resolve. So maybe we should do that. just cast it main phase. If our opponent wants to use the Remorseful Cleric to fight over this, then I think we're fine with that. I mean, our opponent has it on board already. Okay, our opponent's going to remand something, remand us. We're going to just take that opportunity to use this our own remand because, or our own counter squall because we don't really have that many targets for it other than that. Prevent our opponent from drawing a card. Choose Serum Visions. If our opponent wants to exile our graveyard, that's fine. I just want to try to get us to a threat. Opponent's thinking about it. Alright, and it looks like our opponent's going to let it resolve. So we'll cast the Serum Visions. Bolt, we will be okay with, and bottoming our other 2 lands there is good. It's definitely better than drawing them. Okay, our opponent does draw another land. And attacks us for 2. They can activate the Moorland Haunt to make a 1/1, which is not good for us either. Might even just do it main phase. No, okay, Spirit of the Labyrinth. That's honestly pretty fine. I think we want to continue playing our lands just because that way we can cast Tassiger and hold up the ability to activate it a little bit better. Also works better with K command if we draw it. Okay. Yep, our opponent has a Mausoleum Wanderer. But yeah, we're just getting ground out this game. We're down to 6. Our opponent can make a 1/1, which will bring us down to 2 next turn, unless we draw a flyer. Alright, there's Serum Visions, which I guess we'll cast. Alright, there's a Delver. Oh, and there's a Bone Picker. Alright, so if we... So I guess we're only going to get to flip the Delver if we don't draw the Bone Picker the following turn. That's a little unfortunate. Alright, I think I like topping the Bone Picker, topping the Spell Snare then. Playing the Delver and attacking our opponent for 2. If our opponent uses the Moorland Haunt to make a 1/1, I think we're probably just dead. Yeah, we're just dead. Yep, because our opponent will attack us for 4 next turn, and then we can flip this, and then our opponent will still get in for the last 2. All right, good game. We'll move on to match number 4. All right, welcome to round number 4. We've won the die roll, and we will go first, and this hand's perfect. We will go ahead and pay 2 life and Inquisition our opponent. I guess we do need a couple more lands for this hand to be really good, but yeah, I'm excited about it so far. All right, so our opponent has 2 hollow ones. I think that just means we need to get rid of the Faithless Looting here. This matchup doesn't seem to be super easy, so Not necessarily excited about the future here. I think we just want to get down the young pyromancer as early as possible because that provides chump blockers. We need our opponent to miss a land drop. Okay, so we need our opponent to miss one more land drop. Oh, they found the goblin lore? Oh boy. And they drew at least one hollow one off of it. So hollow one's gone, bloodghast's gone, that's gone. And the Flamewake Phoenix is gone too. Jeez, oh my gosh. Okay. So our opponent has multiple hollow ones and attacks us for 6, which is a lot of damage. All right, so there's at least an island, which means that we will get to shatter one of the hollow ones and deal 2 damage to the Flameblade Adept. So I guess we'll just pass the turn here and do that. Wow, multiple bloodghasts. This is just disaster. Bolt us. Okay. Man, bring back 3 bloodghasts. I'm not even sure if we can survive this turn. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I believe we're just dead even with that. So we can destroy this, kill that. Make a 1/1. Block the hollow one with the elemental. Block this here. Yeah, but then that doesn't help us at all. All right, so we'll just do that. We're down to 1. So we can bolt. So let's see. We'll do Serum Visions first. Terminate. And then Dark Slick Shores on top. Okay, so if we had one more removal spell, we would theoretically be able to survive. So we bolt there. And then we can go block, 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 but that's not enough. Okay, so we're just dead. Yep. All right. In this matchup, the Infernal Reckonings are fine. The Surgical's good. The Young Pyromancer is pretty good. The Grim Lavamancer's good. The Terminate's good. The Nile Spellbomb's good. Cards that are a little bit on the worse side include the Inquisitions and the Thoughtseizes. I guess they're fine on the play. The Thoughtseizes, I guess, are really bad. K-Command's slow, as you saw that game. And I think 4 Spell Snares is just way too ambitious, so maybe 2. I guess Bone Picker blocks really well. Delver, honestly, might not be very good. Submit like that. All right, love to play first. This hand doesn't have any blue mana, and I think we can't keep that on the play. This hand I think we can keep, though. Infernal Reckoning. Yeah, let's put that on top. I think I like that. Let's play the Steam Vents and the Grim Lavamancer. Hopefully our opponent is going for a hollow one. Okay. Oh man, the Infernal Reckoning got discarded. That's not great. Alright, so now we can at least play Young Pyromancer. I think I'm just going to get basic Swamp here. Play the Young Pyromancer and attack our opponent for 1. Alright, our opponent just plays a Bloodghast, which is fine, especially considering it cannot block. We will shock in the steam vents and attack our opponent for 3. Perhaps we should have left up an activation of Grim Lavamancer, but I think, okay, yeah, our opponent just concedes. Our opponent didn't have a very good Burning Inquiry and, just conceded because of that. All right. Anything I like on the draw that I didn't like on the play? I think Delver is actually just so bad in this matchup, we might even want Spell Snare and a card like K-Command. I just don't see us winning with Delver, ever. It doesn't block well in the matchup. It doesn't even provide a very fast clock. All right. This hand, I think, is fine. All right. We did discard Tassiger, which is unfortunate. See how many blood gasts our opponent has here. They're already down to 11. None. Wow. All right. Well, that's good for us. Let's play this or I guess we'll play a Polluted Delta. I don't believe we'll bolt anything here, but we theoretically could, I guess. So we'll. All right. So our opponent gets a Bloodghast back. The rest of our opponent's graveyard is not very scary, which is good. Opponent is down to 8. And just casts a Bloodghast. Okay. We're going to get blue-black here. And then I think I'm very happy with us just getting down a Young Pyromancer because our opponent can't currently block with either of their creatures. Okay, and our opponent just, continues to not be able to block, which is good. So we can K-Command, kill one of our opponent's things, or hit our opponent for 2, bring back Tassiger or something like that here, which is kind of cool. I think we'll probably just play this Mountain. Attack our opponent here. We also can just kill our opponent next turn with Bolt and Snapcaster, so that's kind of cool. All right, Goblin Lore puts another Flamewake Phoenix in the graveyard, but that doesn't currently kill us. All right, our opponent's just going to 5 here. So now we don't even need to cast the Snapcaster. Opponent delves a Zombie Fish. Okay, that's fine. All right, cool. So we will just return Tassiger. Do that, our opponent attacks. We'll just block that just because. And then we'll just bolt our opponent. Because our opponent got way too low on life with all their Street Wraiths. Perfect. And that's the match. We'll move on to the 4th match. Oh no, the 5th match. We're 3-1. Move on to match number 5. All right, guys, welcome to the 5th and final match. This hand is really good, so we will keep it. Opponent scries to the bottom. Looks like our opponent might be on Mardu or Hollow One again. This looks like Mardu. This hand's very Thoughtseize proof. Also has all of our colors of mana. A little bit too much red, but that's okay. All right, based on how our opponent played that turn, I think that we are totally fine just getting this Serum Visions cast here. We'd like to rather set up our draws as opposed to try to Inquisition our opponent. There's not too much in our opponent's deck that we're interested in Inquisitioning. There's a couple that would be interested in Thought Seizing, though. If our opponent just plays a... okay, opponent just has one land. It's interesting. All right. Maybe our opponent was hoping that they'd be able to kill a bunch of our stuff, so we'll definitely Inquisition them. I'm assuming that's just a land. Okay, so they got a couple of Revelers and a Blood Moon and a couple other, and a Bolt. So, I mean, they're going to cast the Bolt on us probably at the end of turn anyway. So maybe we should just take the push. Or the Blood Moon. Yeah, I guess we'll just take the Blood Moon, because I don't think we can beat that at any point, and we'll just pass the turn here. So we know our opponent has multiple Bedlam Revelers in their hand, which is really bad, which also means that this K command isn't really going to do anything in terms of making our opponent discard. I mean, I guess it could, it just doesn't do as much. The second one will do a lot, though. All right, opt on top of our library. I think at this point we just want to bottom it, yeah, because we're looking for something like that. Perfect. All right, so we are going to go ahead here and just cast the Tassiger because we know our opponent's hand inside and out, and they don't really have anything that can interact well with that. We'll leave the Snapcaster Mage because then we can Kolaghan's Command it back. All right, cool. And our opponent still doesn't have anything to deal with this, the Tassiger, which is great. We can actually just activate the Tassiger and try to gain some value off of it as opposed to using the K command. Which, honestly, I don't hate doing. Opponent is probably thinking about conceding soon. Okay, so they do have another land here, which is good for them. I'm just going to go ahead and try to accrue some value off of this, off the Tassiger here. All right, so there's an island. We still know that these cards are in our opponent's hand. And we'll activate the Tassiger. So we're going to get Bolt or Terminate back, probably. Just using the Tassiger, basically, to draw some cards. All right, cool. So we actually have 12 points of burn in our hand right now. I'm not going to play this Delver because I don't want to give our opponent any more targets for their pushes and their bolts and stuff like that. So we'll just pass the turn from here. Opponent's down to 8. And I think we'll just go ahead and bolt our opponent twice now. I'm not going to show our opponent the fact that we have a second basic island in the deck. Oh, I accidentally revealed our hand to him. Well, that's all right. Okay, so post-board, what cards do we want to bring in this matchup? All right, so I like Young Pyromancer a lot. I like Liliana a lot. I like Painful Truths a lot. I like Nihil Spellbomb a lot. Surgical Extraction is reasonable. I don't know how great it is. We honestly are probably going to need cards like Counter Squall and Rise Fall in this matchup just because there are a significant amount of cards that our opponent's going to play that we have no good answer to it, basically Blood Moon. The discard effects in general are really bad. They're awful top decks, and yeah, that's not really the game that I want to be playing. Also, I don't like Fatal Push. Our opponent only has a few creatures, and we can kill those with bolts and young pyromancers. Maybe we don't even need to bring in the other terminate. We can bring in maybe even the dispel. So cut these here. Or sorry, not the dispel. All right, so we have 61 cards now. I was trying to think. I was like, maybe we need one the other way. Like, I don't know when that happened. Spell Snare actually isn't very good in this matchup. They just have Young Pyromancers and Collective Brutalities, and maybe a couple other things. So, any of these better than that? Maybe like one Thoughtseize. No, Grim Lavamancer is pretty good. Let's bring in Grim Lavamancer. All right, this hand's great. We get to play a Delver and hopefully flip it. All right, we're probably going to get basic Swamp with the Polluted Delta if we can, because we don't want to just lose to Blood Moon. All right, our opponent takes the K command. We are going to play the Polluted Delta and the Delver. We have Lingering Souls tokens that we're going to have to fight through, though, which is not, you know, exactly where I want to be. All right, our opponent bolts that. That's fine. We are going to go ahead and get basic Swamp here, so now we have all our colors, and we will cast a Young Pyromancer. If our opponent has Blood Moon, we're just going to lose, but I don't think standing back is going to be a successful plan because our opponent knew about the Counter Squall. So if our opponent has Blood Moon here, then they kind of got us. We do have Bolt, so we might be able to fight through it a little bit. Oh no, they have Liliana, the Last Hope. Eesh, that's real bad for us. Okay. All right, I'm going to shock that in and pass the turn. Because we can K-command, deal 3 damage to the Liliana, and then we can rebuy Young Pyromancer, bolt the Liliana, and get a 1/1 behind. Liliana, that one, we will definitely Counter Squall that. That's going to be blue and black. Okay. And we will opt here. Snapcaster Mage. That's actually a pretty good draw, I think. Yeah. Just go ahead and cast or get that. A land here would be very good. No, a Delver though. All right, Liliana going up to 6 is actually pretty bad for us, but I think we just have to pass here. Okay, that's a Young Pyromancer. That's okay, I guess. It's another Young Pyromancer. Okay. All right, so the Liliana is at 6. So we have 6 points. We have 6. So we have 8 points of burn in our hand. So we basically need to decide whether or not our goal here is going to be to try to bolt out our opponent or bolt out use the this to try to like remove all of our opponent's stuff. And I don't think we're going to be able to get there if we're just trying to bolt out our opponent, because that gets wrecked by like any discard spell. Nihil Spellbomb. That doesn't really do anything here. All right. All right, there's a Tassiger. That's really good. So that's exactly what I meant by trying to like trying to be able to like fight through the young pyromancers. All right, so we'll attack our opponent's Liliana here, and we'll see if what our opponent wants to do about it. Hopefully they block it. No, okay, so our opponent's just going to go down to 4. Our opponent's Liliana there is going to go down to 4. We are going to bolt a, well, I guess first let's draw off the Serum Visions. See what that does. All right, so that's another bolt. Dark Slick Shores on top and a Snapcaster Mage. So we'll bottom the Dark Slick Shores, top the Snapcaster Mage, then we'll bolt a Young Pyromancer, and then cast a Tassiger. Ooh, Hazaret. Wow, that's a good draw. All right, so the opponent's just going to get in there with the Hazaret and then use the Liliana to kill this Snapcaster Mage. All right, so here I think I like attacking the Liliana and seeing what the opponent does. So we'll attack Liliana. All right, so the opponent just has it take the hit, you know, like it takes the hit on the Liliana. Then we will maybe we played that a little bit wrong. Because I think I want to snap bolt the Young Pyromancer now, but that just doesn't seem very good in the face of the yeah, all right, so we're gonna deal return target creature 2 damage to any target. So we're gonna return the Snapcaster, kill the Liliana. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna take 6 this turn, but then we have Snapcasters and stuff like that to block for the foreseeable future, hopefully. And if we draw a land, we might be able to kill our opponent. Okay, that's a good draw. Yes, I think maybe we misplayed this. We probably should have just gone after our opponent. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think that that was correct, though. All right, the thought sees makes that probably a little bit more correct. All right, Watery Grave. That doesn't do anything for us. So we'll go blue. We'll cast the Delver. Play this tapped. And then we're going to attack with the Tassiger because our opponent will have to block with an Elemental. Then we can chump here and kill the Young Pyromancer. Okay, so that happens. All right, then we bolt the Young Pyromancer so they can't make any tokens off of it. And then we chump the Hazaret here. And then hope to find a removal spell for the other card. Alright, Serum Visions. That's a redraw, so we'll draw. And 2 Terminates aren't going to do it. So we're just dead. Well, we're not just dead, but our opponent will make us block with the Tassiger, and then, yeah, we're not going to win from that position. All right. Anything here that we want to change? Our opponent has way more non-creature spells than we thought. So I think I'm happy with this kind of configuration. And I guess we'll submit like that. All right, and this hand's very good. We're going to start off getting basic Island because we need that in this matchup because our opponent has Blood Moons, and we also want to preserve our life total. So now we need a black source. All right, so we can actually set this up so that we can flip the Delver for sure. But then we're going to be far off of a black source. So what if we, we'll top, and then we can, if our opponent kills the Delver, opt away the Serum Visions or something like that. All right, so we will go ahead and play the Delver and pass the turn. If our opponent plays something like a Lingering Souls here, I don't know how they would play Lingering Souls here, but if they did, we would consider not flipping the Delver. This might be a Collective Brutality with 2 modes selected. That would be pretty brutal. Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what it is. All right, so we're going to opt in response because we don't want to draw the Serum Visions anymore. All right, and we drew a really bad card, but our opponent was probably going to take the opt there, which is why we wanted to get rid of it. None of the other cards in our hand are particularly powerful or interesting. They take that Terminate for some reason. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we're still looking for a Swamp Young Pyromancer. Wow, it feels bad putting that to the bottom, but we just need land so badly. Opponent looks like they might have a Bedlam Reveler early. They have 4 cards in their graveyard already. Nihil Spellbomb, that's fine. Yep. Sure. They knew our hand already, so they're just trying to get a Bedlam Reveler out, I guess, as fast as possible. No, would not like to reveal Steam Vents, which is unfortunate. No, I guess we're not going to pay 2 life, and we will attack our opponent, though. Our opponent's probably just going to play a Bedlam here. Oh no, they're just flashing back the Faithless Looting. Okay. Opponent discards another Reveler. Wow. Alright. So here we have a choice of snapping or getting a Bolt in just to get some damage in, but I didn't like that too much. Jeez, another Steam Vents. Alright, we're going to play it because we want to cast this Tassiger, but that's really bad for us. I guess we could have shocked it in there so that we can Bolt, Snap, Bolt our opponent. Maybe that was a mistake. Okay, that's fine. See what our opponent wants to do with this Liliana. I think I want to just flash in the Snapcaster Mage here. And it can eat the Snapcaster Mage, because that's definitely not going to do anything other than just attack, for 2 on the ground, which is significantly worse in the matchup with all the 1/1 elementals around. Just hopefully this Delver will flip at some point. No, I don't want to reveal that card. I would, however, like to cast it. Alright, so we get the Liliana off the table, which is pretty good. Alright, Collective Brutality, making us discard again. So we'll bolt our opponent here in response. Because all we have is that Tasigur in our hand, which our opponent knew about. They will flash back Lingering Souls here. And now we have to try to fight through some Lingering Souls. Bone Picker. No, and we can't even cast it. Wow, that's not good. Alright, so we will attack with an Elemental and pass the turn. Man, we're very bad at flipping this Delver. Oh, and there's the Hazoret. Okay, well, at least our opponent's Hazoret can't attack or block, which is good. Alright, Spell Snare, finally. Alright, a way to flip the Insectile Aberration, so that's good. We're just not going to attack into 2 spirits. We'll let the spirits hold back. Our opponent has to cast 2 spells to get the Hazoret to attack. Ooh, Bedlam Reveler. Wow. All right, so we're just falling so far behind because we were never able to cast this, the Tasigur. Yeah, and there's a Lingering Souls. I think we're just dead here. Yep. We would have to draw like 3 bolts off the top, and even that I don't think is enough time. It's enough to win the game. Well, now it would be enough, so hopefully we draw 3. Okay, so our opponent bolts the Insectile Aberration, sure. And then we'll chump the Hazoret. Alright, and there's Darkslick Shore, so that's it. Alright. So, anyway, relatively happy with how this Grixis Delver deck came out. I was very happy with the way that it matched up against Tron. I think the mana's a little funky. I was trying to play a lot of fast lands with this mana base, but I probably should just be playing some more fetches. Overall, I was impressed by Alpine Moon and Infernal Reckoning. Both of the cards were great. I think fixed real problems with the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed these matches, and I'll see you guys next time with some more Modern action.